Alright, you guys, we're here for a review on Iyanla Fix My Life episode 2 season 8, and we're going to talk about Memphitz. I haven't seen the third episode yet. I'm waiting for that to upload, because child, I waited like last night and this morning to see Iyanla, but I watched Iyanla before I went to dinner, went to lunch with my brother and my mother earlier today. So let's talk about Memphitz. As we already know, he was a record executive. He used to work for Jive Records. He had his own record label called the Hits Committee. He founded the careers of K. Michelle, you know, T-Pain, people like that. And he was widely known for being the ex-boyfriend, the ex-abusive boyfriend to K. Michelle. And he was once married to Toya Johnson, I think that's her last name. Toya Johnson, you know, Lil Wayne baby mama. He was married to her. And so, for so many years, he's been, he was kind of like, nobody really wanted to deal with his ass just due to the fact that he was abusive. And it's kind of like the Chris Brown effect. You know how you have everything at the top, and then once you make a mistake like whooping a person's ass, like a man beating a woman's ass, it all goes down. Nobody wants to fuck with you. Nobody wants to deal with you. That was pretty much the reality of the situation. So, you know, watching this, I was expecting him to do... I was expecting this to be a situation that was all about dragging K. Michelle through the mud of it, how she supposedly lied on him when it's been revealed that she won the case. It's been in court documents that he in fact drug her ass and hit her upside the head with a water bottle, pretty much. So, you know, for a dude like me who was brought up in domestic violence, it's very hard for me to really feel any type of sympathy for a man that put his hands on a woman, because for so many years, for over half of my life, I would say, I'm 29, so for like, I want to say for like 22, 23 years of my life, I watched a man verbally abuse my mother, physically abuse my mother, spiritually abuse my mother, mentally abuse my mother. So it's very hard for me to feel any type of sympathy for a man that puts his hand on a woman and with no remorse. And we're dealing with the effects of that right now. You know, my first therapy session is next Saturday, so pray for me on it. But in so many things, the first thing that he talked about was his father was murdered by the Ku Klux Klan, just because he was a black man, back in 2001. Memphitz was like 19 years old. And I think they never found his body or his remains or anything like that. And that crushed him. And you know, I remember hearing this story because K. Michelle talked about it in one of her interviews, one of her early interviews when she first got on Love and Hip Hop. And that was a horrific story because, you know, being from the South, because, you know, Memphis is only two hours away from me. So being from the South, being from Mississippi, and knowing how we're looked at as far as where we're from, when people hear the words Mississippi, they think about racism. And I've never personally experienced like a big racist event before in my life. I've never even seen Klansmen before. I've never seen that, but I do know that they had a rally here in the city of Canton, Mississippi, a couple of years ago, and my mother would not go up there. Like, they had a rally like uptown, and my mama wouldn't go. I wanted to go because I was interested, but of course I was like 9 or 10, and nobody, you know, my mom said, I'm not going to that shit. I want to see them racist ass motherfuckers, you know. They had like a rally, and like the whole city was up there, and they was ready to get it in with them. Like, it was crazy. But I never personally seen any Klansmen or anything like that in my whole 29 years of living. That pretty much fucked up his state of mind, because that was the only man in his life. Because when Iyanla asked who is the man in his life, his mama was like, no one. All he has is his mama, his sister, and that cousin that he had with him. And that was kind of, you know, it kind of makes you think, like, although when I look at this man, I'm looking at it from biased eyes just because I love K Michelle and I met K Michelle before and she's like a part of me in the way because she knows me. So I'm looking at him from biased eyes because number one, he hurt, you know, one of my faves, but then not only did he hurt her, but the way he hurt her is the same way that I watched my mother be hurt by some man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he automatically gets like the fuck you nigga from me. But just hearing his story about how tragically and how brutally he lost his father, like not only did they shoot him, but they burnt his body. Like that is very horrific to even deal with. And honestly, I think that if something like that happened to me, I would be mad at the world myself, because I was just sitting there watching it, and I'm like, as much as I don't really care for this man on my screen, it's kind of like that's real fucked up to have to go through something like that. Like to know that someone killed your dad and didn't know him, but just because of the color of his skin, he was murdered and burnt to death just because of who he was. That is crazy. I don't know how I would be able to deal with something like that. And you guys know that whenever I do anything like a television review or something like that, I always relay what I'm talking about to my life if I relate to it. Now, I've never lost a parent, and I've never lost anyone in my life that's close to something brutal like that. But when he lost his dad, he lost his way. Because the person that he loved the most and the person that coached him the most was no longer around. So that's just like a football team. You win and you lose, but you have that certain amount of direction when you have that particular coach on your team. When you got that coach, whether you win or whether you fall a couple of times, you still have that coach that's going to be there to move you in the right direction when you fall. But because Senior was gone, and Senior was the only one that could direct him in the way that only a man could direct him, because his mama can play mom and dad, but she could never give him what Senior could. So Senior was his coach. He was the teammate. And when his coach was brutally killed the way that he was, he lost his sight and he lost his direction. So when you lose the head, you run amok. That's pretty much what happens. So when I think about that, I think about my own life. And like I said, I never lost a parent and I never lost someone close to me in that particular manner. But I think about me and how my mother and father broke up when I was 3 or 4 years old, and what I got in replace of that was a stepfather that I loved but grew to hate due to the violence. So I was looking for the love from a man that my father wasn't there to give me. And I was trying to get that love from my stepfather, but I was kind of rejected in a sense. And I tried to get that love from other male figures in my life. Like my aunt had a husband and he used to look out for me. He used to take me places. He used to give me money, and all of a sudden he stopped. So all my life I was looking for that manly love. And now I'm looking for it in a man to have a relationship with. And I'm still looking for it. You know, you go, like, because I was missing it. I was looking for, like, even growing up, I was looking for the love of a man, but I couldn't get it from my father, couldn't get it from my stepfather, couldn't get it from the uncle. Now I'm getting it from a man to love me. Ain't that something? That's crazy. That's kind of crazy. But I know that doesn't relate to the story, but, you know, it's like when you miss something, you look for it in so many different ways. Like, you're just looking for love, and you don't know where to get it from. But you really think about the love that you really desire was the love from your father, and you don't have that. And I grew up without my father. My father wasn't around for me. So it's like I was trying to find that replacement. And it's like, I really thinking about it now, I'm still looking for that replacement. Even at the age of 29. In Memphitz, he doesn't have that replacement. He never had it. He never found it. And he don't know what he can do with it. And because of the fact that he lost that constant male in his life, he didn't have that to let him know, nigga, you need to change that. You need to fix that. This ain't how I raised you. And his mother enabled him. Because she felt guilty due to the fact that she was in pain too. But she felt guilty because he lost that. And she felt that she had to play both roles. And my mother felt like she had to play both roles in my life. But a mother can try so hard to play both the male and the female in your life. But no matter how hard they try to play that role, they still can't give you that same male love that your father can. And it could be why people get so upset on Father's Day when people wish their mother Father's Day. That could be why. I don't necessarily have a problem with it because I used to do it all the time. But that could be why. I mean, what your father can give you, your mother could never give you. And that's just really what it is. And I think that's what it is with Memphitz. But what I do like about Iyanla is she did not coddle him. You know, I really wish they would have addressed the abuse situation a little more. Not just his relationship with K. Michelle, but his relationship with Toya. Because that was obviously a mess too. Like his relationship with women and all that stuff like that. Because looking at his family, he looked like he came from a pretty decent background. He didn't come from the hood. Yeah, he was born in Memphis and was raised there. But he looked like he had a respectable mother and a respectable father, and he looked like he came from a great set of people. So he don't look like, it don't seem like he came from a fucked up background. He had a good foundation, but he lost it when his dad died. But one thing about Memphitz is that I really wish that he would take accountability. It's always pointing the finger at somebody else. My girlfriend ruined my life. My ex-girlfriend ruined my life. This happened to me. This happened to me. But you dug a lot of holes for yourself. And one thing about Iyanla, she's not going to play victim with you. She gonna let you know what it is. And that's why I enjoyed this episode. And you know, I still don't care for Memphitz. Let's just be clear. I don't care for him because of the Kate Michelle thing, and because I view him as what I view my stepfather, as a fucking woman beater. That's what I view him as. Whenever I see him, I think that he's a woman beater. Like, look at the way he came at Toya on a marriage boot camp thing like that. That I've seen my mother in that same fetal position that Toya was in when he railed up at her like that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care for him because of that, but I can sympathize with his story and his background, with the fact that his father was killed the way that he was killed and murdered and taken away from him. And the fact that he even doing more than just weed, like Xanax, cocaine, weed, all that stuff, he doing it to suppress things. And one thing about me is that even though I like to drink, I don't like to drink to suppress my issues. I drink because of the fact that it's occasional and it makes me feel good, and I like to be the life of the party sometimes. I don't drink to numb my pain. I know how to hide my pain. I don't have anything to numb it. You know what I'm saying? I just suppress it and bury it my own type of way. But like I said, I'm not an evil person. I don't have to care for a motherfucker to feel their pain. To feel their pain. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care for him at all. But I do understand his struggle, because he lost his dad to the Ku Klux Klan. That's a horrific way to lose a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a hard thing. That's a hard way to lose your parent. So, because that, you know, he was his senior. You know what I'm saying? He was looking for that, and he was just stumbling everywhere he could because he lost that foundation. And when people lack things as a kid, their decision making is altered because of that a lot of the time. And sometimes we make fucked up decisions based on what we didn't get to have when we were kids. Because, like, I hear my mother's story all the time. She wasn't raised by her mother, and all she really wanted was a mother to love her. But because she didn't have a mother to love her, she went to aunts and her grandmother to find that motherly love. And all they ever did was remind her that you're not my daughter. You have a mother. But her mother never gave her what they gave her. But it always had to be instilled in her head or reminded that, you know, I'm not your mother, she's your mother. But it doesn't help that it's like an abandonment thing all over again. So it's like when you lack something as a kid and you keep looking for it as a kid and as a teenager, then by the time you get to be an adult, you fucked up in the brain pretty much. So it's like that's what it is for him. Like, he lost his dad and he never had another male figure in his life after that. And the way he was taken away from him was fucked up. And anybody would be angry with the world about it. And anybody would suffer because of it. And I'm not saying that I know his pain, because I've never lost, like I said, I've never lost my parents. I don't want to know what it's like to lose a parent. And I never lost anybody close to me to violence. But I can only imagine how I would feel if I lost somebody to that type of magnitude. That's fucked up. Especially for a 19-year-old. But the one thing that I did not like, because the story was captivating, it was touching, and you know what I'm saying, I did feel a bit of empathy for him. But when they suggested that he go to a rehab, he agreed to do it. But at the end of the show, even though he said he wanted to go to rehab, he never made no plans to do so. So I feel like he ain't really ready to face his demons. Like, he started the move to do so, but he ain't really ready to face it. Because he really don't think he got an issue or a problem yet. And sometimes it takes people longer than others to fucking realize that I got a problem. And it took me a long time to realize I got a problem. But that's my review on Iyanla Fix My Life, the Memphis edition. I'll be back from Housewives of Atlanta, and hopefully I see the episode with the Mitchell brothers too, because I want to review that as well. And I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.